Gary, I usually kick us off. Why don't you start us off with your Men's Warehouse pick of the week, if you don't mind?
Yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to what is probably the most attractive game environment on the week. I briefly mentioned him earlier, but give me Ezekiel Elliott as my Men's Warehouse pick of the week. This one's actually pretty easy for me. First of all, the run game did not get much going there last week, and maybe eye test tells you Tony Pollard looks like the better running back right now. And you know what? I believe that to be true. But Zeke still outsnapped Tony Pollard 70-20 last week. Okay, so you got 50 more snaps, and I think they're going to want him getting going early on. And he faces a Chargers run defense who prioritizes pass coverage way above run coverage, which led to a mix of Antonio Gibson and those guys to go for almost 5 yards to carry last week, 107 total yards. And you're getting him at, I think, hopefully, what I think will probably be the cheapest price he has all season, which is $6,200 in the highest, or one of the highest over-unders on the slate. And I think early ownership's only around 12%. I will be tripling that, quadrupling that. I think he is, and especially if you're, again, we talked about getting quintupling that. We talked about getting contrarian within a chalky environment. Compared to Lamb and Cooper, he's contrarian. So, and I think he's okay to mix and match with some of those guys, because there's so many points to go around. So give me Zeke. I love it this week. I think at 6,200, I think he blows out his floor. So I'm really, really into. I hate the guy and I hate the Cowboys, but I'm into Zeke in week 2 this year for sure.
My Men's Warehouse pick of the week. I defended it before, and I'll stick to my guns. Mike Evans, and I can go into metrics. No, I can't. But I will just tell you that anytime last season you saw one of those big receivers slump, Brady almost went out of his way, especially when they started to get their act together towards the end of the year. Remember, there is no sluggish Tampa Bay anymore. Yeah, they still make mistakes because it's not, the team takes penalties because it's a Arians team and not a Belichick team. But in terms of that offense, how off did they look throwing the ball the other night? And Evans was the odd man out last week, and you're way more likely to have Gronk be the odd man out this week, and potentially Antonio Brown, see a few less. Mike Evans, I'm taking for 2 touchdowns. I'll give you one, just like the Seinfeld episode, the Paul O'Neill 2 home runs. I'll give you 1 touchdown, but I'll give that kid 2 touchdowns. So if that kid's watching out there, as he's probably 45 right now, older than me, you're getting 2 touchdowns from Mike Evans. He is my Men's Warehouse pick of the week. You're gonna like the way they look.
We'll guarantee
it,
baby. Absolutely. I like it.
Okay, Gary. So we know you're gonna start your lineup with a little Ezekiel Elliott.
Yep.
Would you mind taking us to the rest of your lineup versus me? And then just, would this be more closer to a cash lineup or a tournament lineup? Because I always feel like tournament lineups we put ourselves out there more, and it's more attractive. I feel like our head-to-head is almost a head-to-head tournament.
Yeah,
matchup.
I agree.
So you're going to get blowouts, but
I would say I'm okay playing this one either, and you'll see why, because I think there's enough pieces to give you a real high floor that might be considered, not want to say chalk, but chalk environments where there's going to be just enough tweak where that's the way I like to get in cash, is where you want to play what's optimal, but you want to tweak just 1 or 2 things that will differentiate yourself from the field, right? So let's call this.
I don't like chalk, but I don't mind chalk environments.
Right, the chalk environments, right? So let's start. I have Zeke, so obviously I'm going to that game. Let me tell you what else I got going on in that game, and that is a Justin Herbert to his top guy, Keenan Allen game stack. I think Keenan is what I thought was Calvin Ridley last week, which is the safest wide receiver on the slate. Obviously, I was wrong about Ridley. Let's hope I get it right about Keenan this week. Dallas is still not a good secondary in any way, shape, or form. Keenan Allen is Herbert's number 1, 2, and 3 target, although Mike Williams looks to be coming on, which is nice. But he, week 1 picked up right where he came off last week, 9 catches, 100 yards, 13 targets. He should be able to repeat that no problem here. So I love that stack. On the other side, you already know that I have Ezekiel Elliott. I'm also going to go right down to the bottom of the barrel with Cedric Wilson. As we said, trying to get a little bit different amongst the chalk. He's 3,100. So in a lineup where I'm trying to get a lot of the high-priced fantasy superstars in here, he's somebody that will fit right in. He's 3,100. He's going to have all the wide receiver 3 snaps. Even if he was 3 for 24 last week, but Gallup played half the game, or at least a little bit of the game. Even if he goes 5 for 80, I'm cool with that at 3,100 in this spot. That might not win you a tournament, that upside, but at least for head-to-head, that's why I say it's kind of a tournament cash combo lineup. But all right, then. So it's got basically it's a skinny stack double run back. You don't see that very often, but it's a Zeke Cedric Wilson run back. I like that overall game stack, any way you want to kind of stack that game up, doubles and doubles, skinny and double, however you want to do it, it makes sense to me. With my other,
it's like when your friends are getting all sorts of McDonald's orders. Oh, can we get the number 2, the double, and then the single double, the whole any which way you want.
Yep, exactly. So I like all. I mean, I thought about going Mike Williams in this lineup as well with the double, or Jared Cook as my tight end, and then really would have gotten double, but didn't have quite the salary to do that. So my other running back, I'm going all the way up. We actually did a whole segment on him, so I'm not going to go crazy. Nick Chubb, the game environment makes sense. I'm going to pick and choose my GPP spots with Nick Chubb this year. This is definitely one of them. He's 7,800. He scored 23 points in week 1. He had 15 carries. I would expect that to go up by at least 6 to 7 this week in a much better game environment, and probably find the end zone. So there you go. We're on the same page with your Men's Warehouse pick of the week, my friend. Mike Evans makes my lineup. I want a taste of that game any way I can get it. He's the guy that makes the most logical sense. He probably will come through with a little bit of lower ownership than the other guys. He's at buy low target season long, probably. I mean, listen, Mike Evans is not the bona fide wide receiver 1 he used to be, but he still has plenty to offer, and kind of being the guy that is so quote unquote due, he makes sense in this lineup. And then I'm going in my flex. I'm going Calvin Ridley. I'm going right back to that well. I have the money to do it. He's 7,500. I would expect his ownership to go way down after a 10-point game last week. Still had 8 targets. But again, we saw the Dallas receivers just toast the Tampa Bay secondary, and I think that Matt Ryan and that Falcons team will be playing from behind. I think he's going to have a huge second half, Calvin Ridley. Huge second half. So I like him a lot there. And then I'm going to go on the other side of Mike Evans with my cheap tight end this week, and Tyler Conklin. So we know Minnesota likes to throw the ball. He is their only real receiving threat at tight end. They signed Chris Herndon from the Jets, but he's not anything yet. He had 4 for 41 last week, which he's 3,200. And, he's going to be basically playing, I think he played almost 65 snaps last week, something like that. So in that same game environment, on the other side, assuming we think that Arizona gets up, especially in any point, I like Tyler Conklin as my tight end. So give me him. I'm at that point I have around 2,500 left. I have to go bottom barrel of the defense. I want to take somebody that at least could surprise. Give me the Jets at home. Against the rookie quarterback. You never know. Couple sack, fumble type pick. I think the Jets stink, but all those defenses stink. I'd rather take one that has the lowest game total. So give me the Jets as my defense. So it's Herbert, Chubb, Zeke, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Cedric Wilson, Conklin, Ridley, Jets.
Beautiful. So now onto my lineup. I mentioned, maybe it was the reason I brought it up because it was a little foreshadowing of this lineup, but I'm going with Ben Roethlisberger as my quarterback at 5,900. Like you said, Najee Harris is going to be the chalk play of the week. He looked like a random guy running last week. That's what he looked like to me. So I have faith that the Raiders will be able to do enough to stop the random guy from running. So I'm going to go with Ben Roethlisberger, and I'm pairing him with both Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson. Nice. You know me, I'm a double guy, animal fries, or with fries, animal style. I like double stacks. Now, you can clearly go with Claypool. That will afford you money at other spots, and he'll be lower owned. But I decided to go with Roethlisberger, Johnson, and Schuster, and I may pay for this, but I'm not running anybody back the other way. My high-priced running back is Dalvin Cook. I'm going with Dalvin Cook against Arizona, and I'm not touching anybody else from that game, and I'm just hoping. Yeah. I'm just hoping that Zimmer has the defense ready, and everybody's getting like this is. You want to talk about double stack? Well, an Andy double stack is when you bet against everybody's big bet, and then take the Vikings defense with Dalvin Cook. That's my stack in that game to try to get away from everybody else. So my start is Roethlisberger with both Schuster and Johnson, Dalvin Cook, Vikings defense, and I know I do it in a weird fashion. My other running back is David Montgomery, 6,100. I told you, it's not like I necessarily like his running, but he's on a streak. If you've won 5 red bets in a row in Las Vegas where you just came back, you don't then switch to black. You run the red until you lose. And I think coming off of that game against one of the best fronts, there's no reason not to feed him that rock every single time. Going against Cincinnati's defense, and they're at home. they are at home. So there's plenty of opportunity there for Montgomery. And then the third wide receiver, other than the two Pittsburgh ones, is Tyler Boyd, who I'm going to be running the opposite side of that. 4,700 for Tyler Boyd. Okay? He's a great receiver, and you know he has the rapport with their quarterback from last year. He had so many 8-catch games with Burrow. So there's no reason that couldn't happen this week. You're going to get him at a discount, and people will probably be more incentivized to play those other receivers. In the tight end, I needed some piece of that Dallas game, so I took Jared Cook. You know, he screws people like you. But for people like me, for some reason, he's going to come to play. And then in my flex, I got my Men's Warehouse pick of the week in Mike Evans. And I know there's a couple random solo plays in there. I try not to do that too much. I do like the correlation because it makes it easier. Ever since I heard somebody say you want to turn your game into a parlay with fewer legs, that stuck with me, and I truly believe it. Why make this an 8-game parlay when you can make it a 3-game parlay? But I didn't run anyone back in the Raiders game, or in that Vikings game, or in that Cowboys game. I just took pieces from all of them. So that's my lineup for this week. I'm going Roethlisberger, you're going Herbert. Very
nice. And then, like we were saying with the Steelers receivers, you did the smart thing. First, what you ended up doing was you took the 2 high target guys, right? So you left Claypool, maybe a little bit of a higher ceiling out, but that's what you want to do, right? If you're doing a double stack with the Steelers, you either want to take Juju with Deontay or Juju with Claypool. You don't want to go Claypool and Deontay together because those, fundamentally that clashes. So, that makes sense to me. And I'm jealous you got Cook in there. I was hoping we actually would get to this because we ended up going off the Vikings game a little bit too early for us to get to Cook, but I'm huge on Dalvin Cook this week. I think coming off it wasn't a disappointing, but for what his price was, it was not. He didn't hit he didn't necessarily hit value last week. I think Dalvin is in a really good spot in that game this week.
He's the opposite of Derrick Henry for me.
Yeah.
Where I won't play Derrick Henry early in the season when it's warm, you ain't going to see me playing Cook when it's cold outdoors. And I just know that knee injury's coming then. But right now, he's going to be in Arizona. He's at the offseason. He's in that jacuzzi feeling good. This is a nice Cook game for me. And watch him go for 22 yards.
Early Dalvin Cook right now is at 9%. So you're looking at Christian McCaffrey. Oh, there he is. You're looking at Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook for both around 9-10%.
Sorry, I'm still prone to a Sopranos moment.
I've been rewatching the last season in anticipation of the movie coming out. So I've been doing a lot of
I grew up with a lot of O's. So.
A lot of neck grabbing and a lot of cheek kissing. So
and when Gary gives you these projections, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, these projections highly.
Subject to change, very much.
Later in the week. So he's giving you the early week projections, unfortunately. But by the way, you don't deserve the Sunday numbers for free. No. You deserve the Wednesday numbers and Thursday numbers, which are bound to change. But just know that.
But subscribe, rate,
Gary,
review
you want
us.
to plug? Yeah.
Obviously, subscribe, rate, review to us. But I can't recommend Establish the Run enough. It's by far the best package in the industry. We have everything: season-long DFS, showdown slates, every possible projection that you could possibly imagine. We have stack tools. We've got freaking everything, man. And the guys behind the scenes are grinding away. And the best possible way we can make you money is we are crushing props. We went 8-1 on props last week. I'd expect it to keep going. So we're just absolutely crushing player props. You got to be a subscriber to get in on those. But it's crazy.
If there's a thing or two about me, it's I need stack tools everywhere in my life. Okay? Without those, I wouldn't be able to get to next week. All right, Gary. So thank you so much for that extra insight. These types of services, these are things that I always used to arrogantly bypass, saying, I watched the game, but they are extremely helpful, especially if you have a coin flip situation and it can give you that extra little, I didn't factor that in, and that made that decision easier for me.
Or if you're just trying to take the step up as a DFS player, and if you're looking into doing multi-entry tournament stuff, it's impossible to do without good projections. Obviously, you can make your own tweak on them, right? You could say, if you see a projection on Dalvin Cook at 23 points and you think he has a ceiling game, you could use a ceiling projection. We have ceiling projections this year, but it's impossible to make a build without projections. You might necessarily always agree with them. You could tweak them manually, but projections are key. You need good projections. Good projections cost money.
And you know what's interesting? I looked at those for the first time ever, and I just a quick glance, and you guys had a high ceiling projection for Mr. Deebo Samuel, and he certainly hit some sort of ceilings last week.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
All right, Gary. So good luck to me. You don't need anyway. You have enough. Like if luck is like a gas tank, you used all.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, well, it might be all used up. I'm hoping to have just a slight more left in the tank for this football season. So you know what? Week 1 to me was
the appropriate answer is fortunately, the future lineups from me won't require any luck.
Well, there you go. That's true. Well, week 2 is what I'm looking at as the real start of the season, so I'm very excited.
Yes, for me, I look forward to bye weeks. Too many players on the field for me. I can't see everyone. Like somebody like my blind side, I get blasted from my blind side by random players, just like last week.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I hear you.
So we will be back with you next week. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, you got some lineups to work with for this weekend, and we will talk to you next week.
Take care, everyone.